Hi, everybody. This is Jay Shaw, and I'm answering a question my friend asked about meditation. The question is, what are your thoughts on meditation, and do you have any techniques you can suggest? And the first thing that comes to mind is that it's a paradoxical question because he asked about thoughts on meditation, and meditation essentially is about moving beyond thoughts. So, what's really good about meditation is that, and I'll just disclaim it, I don't do it that frequently. I learned about it in 2012, about 8 years ago, and I used to do it as a practice. I do it, I don't know, 2 times a month now, maybe realistically, and of course I want to increase it, but I just haven't made myself do it. So talking this through might help me get myself to do it more frequently as well. But the idea in meditation is to tune into deeper things that are going on within you outside of the regular course of consistent and repetitive thoughts that are going on within your mind. As physical beings living in a world in which there are always threats, we're often worried about things. It could be physical destruction, but it could also be things that we think are going to harm us in some way, like career opportunities or competitors in business, or even things that may indicate that our physical existence won't continue, such as even getting insulted by somebody. If somebody insults you, it doesn't actually mean or do anything in reality at all, but it activates a very primal fear that if they insulted me, that means I'm not worthy of something, and that means that I'm not going to be able to contribute or provide, and that means that I'm going to die. All the fears ultimately, at the very root, there's a fear of death or the fear of annihilation tied in with them. And this is not to say that those are not real things, but the manner in which people think about it often self creates a reality of fear and horror, essentially, that they can't get out of. And there's this play called Miss Saigon, and one of the characters is a girl in Vietnam during the the Vietnam War, and there's this thing a song called "The Movie in My Mind." It's a beautiful song about um, last night I saw you sleeping, once more the nightmare came. And then something, I think it might be a good dream or a bad dream, I don't remember, but I think it's a nightmare. But this is not very different from how people operate on a regular basis, uh, to varying degrees. So there's just a lot of fear that's contained within people's minds because they're constantly hyper alert about threats, or just personally psychologically depressed because they've spent so much time in a state of negativity, essentially. So what is meditation? Meditation is tuning in with the awareness that underlies everything beyond positive and negatives. So there is an awareness that animates and creates everything. And if you think about it or perceive it very closely, perceiving is a better word than thinking in this sense, because the mind can distort. It can see things on a certain level, but it might not be able to tune into the deeper reality here. But when you really look deeply, you're aware and you're perceiving yourself. I'm perceiving my hand, I'm perceiving my thoughts, and I'm perceiving that I'm saying these things right now. And meditation taps you into that. It's something that's eternal. It's beyond the color blue that I'm wearing. It's beyond whatever I look like today. It's beyond anything that's within my surroundings or the timeline of human history or world history that of which I'm taking a place in and a part in right now. It's beyond all things. It taps into the essential underlying awareness beyond everything. And the the benefit of that is that it taps you into a deeper power beyond the power of thinking, beyond the power of basic of things that our minds are trained to do. And everything our mind is trained to do, think, achieve, succeed, so forth, handle issues, create beautiful things, those are very good things and they're very important things. But the mind's activity can become destructive, especially when we populate a world of fears around us that most primarily live inside of us. The interesting thing is that when someone is filled with fear, they very often then create the reality that they are trying to avoid. And it's because that's what they've been focusing on the whole time. They focus on it and they protect against it in a way that causes it. It's ironic, it's paradoxical, but it points to the deeper truth that when you live in fear, bad stuff is already happening within you. And then you shouldn't be surprised if bad stuff then externally ends up coming in to actually confirm that. So with meditation, a very basic exercise is to just inhale and exhale. At a physiological level, it calms the mind. It alerts you that you can be relaxed, that there's no threat that's around. And at a deeper level, again, you're not tuning into any specific thing. It's not, when you're meditating, it could be day or night outside. I could be wearing red or blue. I could be anything, but you're tapping into what's beyond all things, all colors, all everything, and it's essentially nothing. And there is a deep peace within that. The question can arise then, well, if what about all the good things in life, all the things that make it so good, like the love with family and just, having great accomplishments and having great pleasures? Is that not worthy of anything? Is that something to be, not looked towards, not striven for, not strive for? And the answer is that those are very important things on one level, and they should be, enjoyed fully. But with the meditative awareness, you realize that you can't be married to them, because every sensation goes. Every victory that somebody has ends up passing. So have it, enjoy it for the time that it lasts, and feel the sensation fully. Meditation helps you actually engage with the world in a much more dynamic and fluid and real sense, because you're no longer trapped within the movie in your mind, to use that Miss Saigon song title. And instead of seeing everybody as a potential threat to whatever it is, you can see them as something else, and something in all likelihood that is a lot better. You can see beauty in people that you wouldn't have been able to before when you're self-focused. And by self-focused, I don't mean that. I mean that word specifically now in a bad way. Self-focused meaning focus too much on what's going on within your mind, which is not actually engaging with the actual reality. And the mind-created fiction is normally simply based on conditioning of the past. Self-focus can be good from the standpoint of, like, I don't feel good, like I need to exercise. I don't feel good, I need to do this. I'm proud that I achieved this, and so forth. That's good self-focus. But when it comes to the negative aspect, that's when you're populated with fear and you're not allowing anything else to come in. So we are living presently in coronavirus time. It's March 31st, 2020, and most people are at home right now. Most people, not like really, like India's on lockdown. Most people in America are staying at home. So this is a really good time to tune in and see what's inside, because the economy and everything has taken a temporary halt, a mandated halt. And this would be a very good time for all people to tap into things that they're not normally able to when they're immersed within the busyness of the world, immersed within all the happenings, all of the ways in which they need to work and survive and so forth. It's essentially, in many ways, a forced timeout. And in times of timeout, somebody can regroup, recollect, and tap in with the beauty that's inside. Because without feeling beauty, life is very difficult to live. And it's very unsatisfying because there's so many things to worry about. And when you're able to put reins, like you rein in a horse, put reins on your mind from populating fear after fear after fear. The mind has so much intelligence and so much ability to continue to think and think and think and imagine. When left uncontrolled, it can lead to horrific things internally. Nobody wants that, but they're just taken on a ride because they have not realized that they don't need to be dominated by what occurs within their mind. Meditation is a gateway into deeper realms that exist internally. The beauty that you want to feel, the beauty that is there outside, the best memories you had. All these things can be resurfaced through meditation. The most intimate moments with other people, the best music you've heard. You can feel something far greater than this through meditation, through stopping the constant flurry of thought activity and touching in with the depth of your essence. So, that being said, I will start meditating, and I will do it more than twice a month. As you know, it's good. My friend asked me this, and I thought, I know all this stuff, but I don't do it. So let me take my own advice and let me do it, and let me start now. So maybe for a minute, I'll close my eyes and I'll do the in, out, in, out. There are more complex techniques, but this is the very, very most basic one. Just focus on the in breath. Let it fill your lungs and fill your stomach, your diaphragm, or it actually fills your lungs, but you feel it in your stomach. Let it fill you as much as you can and slowly exhale it. They're more complex techniques, but this is the most basic one. Okay, so 1 minute starting now. Wow. I think I opened my eyes exactly at 1 minute because I have a timer on the phone clock here, and not on the clock, but it's telling me the time. And I think I start at 12:55, and I open my eyes at 13:55. So that's the thing. When you're doing meditation, you're more deeply in tune with what's going on. I could not have logically predicted. I couldn't have counted the seconds accurately and known exactly when to open my eyes, but somehow I just knew and I did it. So when you have that sense of calm, you're able to perform a lot better at a lot of things. And you don't go into it with the mentality of optimizing your productivity and so forth. It's not about that. If that gets you in the door, that's good. It's good that you're in the door, but eventually the power of the meditation gets rid of that. because you're not the focus is not optimization um, or being more productive. Those are byproducts, and they must be understood as byproducts, which are not nearly as important as the actual thing that's found within when you do it correctly. So I'll give a couple of examples of how meditation can help. There is a world famous sitar player. Sitar is like an Indian guitar. His name is Ravi Shankar, and he's passed away now. I think he died in 2012. He was born in 1920, and when I went to Ahmedabad, which is a city in India, there's this film festival, music festival called Saptak, and all these classical Indian musicians were there, other sitar players and other Indian musicians, and they're honoring Ravi Shankar because he was born 100 years ago. He was born in 1920. This was the centennial of his birth. And one musician who performed with him said that one day Ravi Shankar was very sick. He must have been 80 or something. And he went on stage to perform, and he couldn't. So what did he do? He sat, he closed his eyes, and he meditated for 4 minutes in front of the whole audience. And there was pin drop silence. Everybody was just focused on him. And after 4 minutes, he played. And he played a great show. Ravi Shankar also met and taught George Harrison how to play sitar, because George Harrison, that's from the Beatles in the 60s, he became interested in India. The Beatles went to India a few times, and George got to meet Ravi Shankar and learn from him. And then on 3 of their songs, Norwegian Wood, Love You Too, and Within You, Without You, of 3 of their best albums, Rubber Soul, Revolver, and Sgt. Pepper, George Harrison played the sitar. Now, the Beatles went to India in 1968, and they spent time in an ashram, which is like an Indian meditation center. And they meditated hours and hours and hours on end. And much of what, in my opinion, is their best album, which is the White Album, was written at that time. I think John Lennon wrote 15 songs, Paul wrote 13, and Ringo, who had never written a song, wrote his first song. It's called either Don't Pass Me By or Good Night. I think it's Good Night, and it's the last song on the White Album. And meditation creates a lot of benevolent feelings within you. This song essentially goes, good night, sleep tight, dream sweet dreams for me. And the very ending of that song, the end of that album is good night to everybody, everywhere. That's what meditation did for Ringo. He was a Beatle for so many years, and he finally wrote a song. And it was the closer, one of their best albums. So that's to the power of meditation, and that's to the power of what anybody can create within themselves when they tap into deeper things, when they move beyond the normal ruckus that's going on, and tap into the beautiful stillness, the silence, and are able to feel and then create beauty in the world. So thank you for watching. If you watched it this far, I hope you've enjoyed it. I got to meditate, and I got to talk about some of my favorite people. So let's all make ourselves better through meditation. Let me take this advice seriously continually, not just now, but as time goes on, and continue to make this a practice. And I hope this has inspired you to do the same. Also, if you know anybody who would like this video, please share it with them. If you like this video or my other content, please subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be uploading stuff a lot more frequently now, and I hope that it helps people. I hope that we can get through everything together, whatever the problem may be, whether it's coronavirus or just getting through life. Because we all live in the world together, and we can make it better.